Hello everyone, very good morning to all the viewers of Unacademy Law. बहुत स्वागत है आप सभी का on August 1st, which is a very special day for us as Indians. As this month we begin our 75th Independence Day anniversary, a country which has existed since the beginning of human civilizations, transformation from a colonial state to a one where everybody has adult suffrage, to the one where everybody has equal rights, to the one where there is equality before law, are those ideals that were enshrined in our constitution. And the independence struggle was a realization that we need these rights. So as we begin this month, let's hope that all of us are on our step, and every step that we take is towards a realization of the India of dreams of our freedom fighters, which was also mentioned by the Prime Minister yesterday in his 91st address to the nation. So on that note, shuru karte hain. Very good morning to everybody who have tuned in live. I was shooting this video, I have said all of this, but probably there was a technical issue wherein whatever I was saying wasn't reaching to all of you. So that is why this delay of 10-15 minutes has happened. But trust me, it was nothing on my part. I was sitting here, I was speaking, but only to realize that none of you are actually being able to see what I am speaking. So on that note, let's begin. And I have one very pleasant surprise for all of you for this month. But before I tell you that, if you are someone who is watching me for the very first time, I'm Kushagra Goyal, a graduate from National Law University, a master's in economics. And this month onwards, I will be bringing to all of you one of the most sought after things that you have been asking throughout the year, which is that a class where you can note down all the important recent judgments of all courts or whatever legal current affairs that will be happening. So from this weekend onwards, that is the August of 6th at 4:30 p.m. till 5:30 p.m., I'll be bringing to you a special series of classes about recent legal happenings around the world. And this will be one of those sessions which will directly have a positive influence on your preparation for the examination. So with this exciting news for all of you, you all can also watch this class for totally free of cost using the code KUSHGK. इस कोड को यूज करके आप इस क्लास को फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट भी देख पाएंगे. सो on that note, if you are someone who want to be like these toppers who were at Unacademy last year, you can also reach the skies by subscribing to our courses and enrolling in our batches. If you are someone who is preparing for CLAT 2023 examination, you can enroll in our new batch, which is Let's Crack CLAT and AILET, which began on July the 28th. This batch will provide you sectional test, mock test, and other solutions also. And if you want to receive physical notes, that is previous year question papers and everything else around it, then subscribe to Unacademy's Iconic Notes. Now, how to do that? You just have to press on the Iconic tab in subscription box. You can also avail Plus, but then within Plus, you will not receive physical notes from our side, and you will also not get live mentorship plus doubt solving plus priority in classes. So if you want that, subscribe to the Iconic category. On that note, if you have any other doubts, you can reach out to us at 8585858585 per. On that note, other updates from Unacademy, you can connect with us on our Telegram channel, which is Unacademy_CLAT. And to reach out to me, you can connect with me on my Telegram channel, which is Kushagra Goyal_Unacademy. So on that note, let's begin the first newspaper of the day. And we have political news on our sides. Very good morning to everybody. Hi Harsh, hi Chanda, hello Abhineet, hello Vaishnavi, hi Khushi. Very good morning to all of you. So on the first hand, we have two news related to politics about ED. ED has been in news in one way or the other throughout this year, and we will be talking about their judgment separately, but none of this is important. So this is, the charges have been framed, but nothing have actually been confirmed in this regard. So nothing to note here. Then Spectrum bids cross 1.5 lakh crore to mark the 5th day of 5G auction. India will be moving towards 5th generation of telecommunication services, and the auction for that is continuing. So that's all that we need to note. इसके अंदर भी अभी कुछ काम का नहीं है. What circle, कौन सी कंपनी को कहाँ के spectrums मिलते हैं, वो हमारे काम का नहीं है. So you can avoid this and also avoid all of this. Okay, nothing of note for us. Then we come to the news here. Arora is the new Delhi commissioner. This is Sanjay Arora, who will be the new Delhi police commissioner. That's all the news, because now see, we are following the Delhi edition of the newspaper, so it will be about Delhi here. Nothing of note. हमारे एग्जाम के particularly इससे related कोई काम की बात नहीं है. He was the former head of the ITBP forces also. That's all that is there. Then we move on. Very good morning Damanjeet, very good morning Ankita, very good morning to everybody else also who have tuned in. So landlord tenants risking all to love for Aravlis. This is about illegal mining that has been happening on the south of Delhi से शुरू होके Aravali ranges, which are the oldest mountain ranges of the world. उनके ऊपर illegal mining that has been going on, for which a very heinous incident also recently happened where a policeman was mowed down by the illegal miners. Then we come to here. This is a news that we have to note down. Allahabad Museum to showcase gallery on Chandrasekhar Azad. Revolutionary Chandrasekhar Azad, who was along with Bhagat Singh part of the revolutionary segment of the Indian freedom movement. उनके लिए a segment of the Allahabad Museum will now be dedicated to Chandrasekhar Azad. So it will highlight this. So you may be asked in terms where, about all. Okay. So 75th year of independence, Allahabad Museum to showcase Azad Gallery. Now, one of the important things that will be there is Bantul Bukhara. What is Bantul Bukhara? As the Colt pistol of Chandrasekhar Azad, which he held while he killed himself instead of getting caught by the British. Okay. Then we move on. So this August 1st to August 7th is also celebrated as World Breastfeeding Week. It is to say create awareness about the benefits of breastfeeding for the child. It is also to raise awareness. So this is part of WHO, UNICEF initiative. Okay, it is a UN sponsored. All right, World Breastfeeding Week is to raise awareness by UNO. Okay, very good morning Suchita, very good morning Pragyanna, very good morning Jyoti, hello Soham. Then we move on to paddy milling, to hell, nothing of note, all of this, nothing of note for us. Then we come to the editorial section. Okay, so the editorial one is about the PMLA judgment. So we'll talk about this one in a moment. But prior to that, an alarming fall. This is about the fall in standards of parliamentary procedure in our country, where the opposition and the government can't come to terms of how the house should be run. There is no consensus reached between them, what issue to be taken up at what time. There is a complete breakdown of conversations between the two sides. At the end of the day, they are all representatives of the people, but nothing of note is being talked about, or no legislative business is being done, neither are the issues of people being taken up. So this is a comment on that, not particularly important from exam point of view. Then we come to the left hand side. Core constraints, infrastructure sectors, headline growth may be robust but not broad based. So what is this about? In Indian economy, when can we say that we have holistic growth? We can say that we have holistic growth when all the sectors of economy are growing at a sustained pace. Here it is being pointed out that Indian economy's sectors right now, that is, most of the growth of Indian economy right now is happening from coal and cement, both the segments which will register a decline as the monsoon season progresses, because coal mines get flooded by water. So mining of coal doesn't happen, thus natural coal that is used in the country is also not used. So thus when we say that our growth is happening, we have to have it generalized, or it should be across all sectors. That is the challenge that has to be cleared by all the individuals. Okay, so core constraint is a attempt on that. इसके अंदर दो बातें नोट करने की हैं which you need to understand. First is year on year growth. And the second is okay, so two things. One is year on year growth. Year on year growth is, let's say, March 2021 in comparison to March 2022 comparison. Okay, so that's a year on year growth. So you will compare the figures from 1 year, 1 month of the month of that year to the month of this year. That you can say कि उस साल के comparison में इतनी growth हुई है. And then we have a continuous growth, which is क्वार्टर टू क्वार्टर ग्रोथ, कि साल की शुरुआत में पहले क्वार्टर में हम 30% प्रोड्यूस कर रहे थे, अब हम 25 ही कर रहे हैं, तो वी कैन से दैट देयर हैज बीन अ डिक्लाइन. Similarly, if it was an example, a figure of a higher order, so this is within a financial year, quarter to quarter growth is within a financial year, and the year on year growth is between two financial years. Okay, this one is between two financial years. All right, then your question sir, registration date अब तक डिक्लेयर नहीं हुआ है. नो, क्योंकि अभी तक CLAT 2022 वालों का काउंसलिंग अभी भी चल रहा है. 5th मेरिट लिस्ट परसों ही आई है, सो अभी तक उनकी चल रही है, इस वजह से आप लोगों की रजिस्ट्रेशन डिक्लेयर नहीं हुई है. देन 2002 गुजरात केस को लेके जो नया इंपॉर्टेंट है या नहीं, नोप, नथिंग ऑफ नोट इन दैट. ठीक है, देन वी कम India's wheat waiver WTO demand is risk fraught. Now, what is the concept that is being talked about here? Let's say A, B and C produce a total of 100 kilogram of wheat. Indian government is giving a price of 20 rupees per kilo. ठीक है, and the world prices, अगर आप ओपन वर्ल्ड मार्केट में बेचने जाओगे तो it will take 15 rupees per kilogram. So what does this do? This is a form of guarantee to an individual. Whosoever is doing something is a guarantee that whatever I produce, the government will buy from me. Okay, so आपके पास एक confidence रहता है कि you can take or you can do this business because eventually the government will purchase. You will not incur any losses. Now, the world market prices may go up or may go down, whereas the MSP is certain. This amount is certain. At WTO, countries believe that everything, all the trade across all the world should be governed by forces of demand and supply. WTO, which is World Trade Organization, उनका क्या कहना है कि all of this should always be governed by demand and supply. Why do they want this? Because now Indian government keeps a huge stockpile of food resources with itself. It provides it to individuals, and it keeps a stock in case monsoons fail, right? Because we have a high poor population. So let's say the world prices at some point of time in the world are not 15, but right now due to war they are trading at 35. Okay, Indian government wants to reduce its losses. So India, what it does is, from its stocks, sells it in the world market. When supply will increase, what will happen? The price of it will come down. So India, because it has huge stocks of wheat, can reduce the price, can introduce this stock in the world market and reduce prices of the world economy. बाकी कंट्रीज का मानना है, जैसे कि डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज, यूएसए, जर्मनी, उनका ये कहना है कि दिस सिस्टम ऑफ स्टॉकिंग बाय इंडिया इज अ वायलेशन ऑफ WTO नॉर्म्स. क्योंकि क्या होता है, वी डोंट कीप एनी स्टॉक्स and you keep stocks, so this can be a threat to our traders. You can actually provide, or you can influence the world market price of a commodity which we cannot. So this article is talking about India's wheat waiver WTO demand is risk fraught. क्या बता रहा है वो? So India has been seeking that this stocking of food that we do in the world market should be allowed, that even if other WTO members are not doing it, we should be allowed to do it. This is the waiver that we are seeking from them. Okay, understood this concept of wheat waiver? Now this is dependent on two policies of India. One, our public stock holding, and our public food security policy. Why do we create stocks? To provide food security to our people. And it also gives certainty to poor farmers that you have to continue producing because there is some amount of security in the trade that you are doing. बाकी countries, developed countries का मानना है कि this is problematic because you can artificially influence the supply and reduce the prices. Now the other aspect of it is that India is saying that right now the world is facing an exceptional circumstance of war. That the war between Ukraine and Russia is what? Is an exceptional circumstance. So ये एक अपने आप में नई बात है, अपने आप में पहली बार हो रहा है. सो इसकी वजह से हमें वेवर मिलना चाहिए. सो कभी कभार होता है ना, जैसे कोविड की वजह से आप लोगों का एग्जाम पोस्टपोन हुआ इन 2020, बट इन 2021, 2022 इट मे नॉट हैपन, 2023 में नॉट हैपन. तो वो उनको एक एक्सेप्शनल सिचुएशन में वेवर दिया गया था. दे गॉट एन एक्सटेंशन टू प्रिपेयर मोर. You may not get the same benefit, right? So this is exactly what India is saying कि ये जो war है ये एक अपने आप में exceptional circumstance है, but the author is telling us that no, this may not actually be true. Why it may not be true is because this WTO, World Trade Organization, didn't consider COVID-19 as a pandemic which happened once in a century and didn't allow a waiver on कोविड-19 वैक्सीन्स के अलावा जो चीज़ें थी, जैसे कि डायग्नोस्टिक्स एंड थेरेपॉटिक्स. ओके, द अदर इक्विपमेंट्स दैट यू नीड वाइल डूइंग अ कोविड-19 पेशेंट्स ट्रीटमेंट, उनको उन्होंने एक्सेप्शनल नहीं कंसिडर किया. सो ऑथर इज सेइंग दैट अंडर आर्टिकल 9(3) ऑफ द WTO एग्रीमेंट, दिस एक्सेप्शनल सर्कमस्टांस of considering the war in Ukraine as exceptional may not hold waters, that this may not actually happen. While the world may still want food security to be a thing, that सबके पास खाना होना चाहिए, the developed countries would still want to keep the price of wheat high because it keeps the profit margins high. वहाँ पे high prices is not a problem because they believe the people have the capacity to pay, whereas here that same is not true. All right. Then we move on to the main editorial. The main editorial is a criticism of the recent PMLA judgment of the Supreme Court. उसके अंदर कोर्ट ने क्या किया है? Court has upheld the validity of amendments to the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Now, we have discussed money laundering as an offense. हमने बात करी थी कि मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग क्या होती है. दिस इज स्टिल देयर फॉर अदर्स हु आर वॉचिंग दिस फॉर द वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम. उनके लिए ये है, व्हाट इज मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग? मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग इज बेसिकली एनीथिंग वेयर यू ट्राई टू हाइड मनी or you put your money into anything which has been illegally obtained. For example, this is a mobile phone. Let's say it costs 20,000 rupees. I stole money from B and I used that 20,000 rupees I stole from B to purchase this phone. This phone is now money laundered. This commodity that I have is through proceeds of a crime. So money laundering में दो चीजें होती हैं. One, the offense of money laundering is first that's the first. And second, using the proceeds of crime without disclosure. First, obtaining the money illegally and then using the proceeds of crime without disclosure. आपने सरकार को बताया नहीं और आपने वो पैसा यूज कर लिया. That is known as money laundering. Now, this list of money laundered offenses कि कौन कौन से proceeds of crime can be considered illegal has been criticized. Second part, the author is saying कि ये जो definition है money laundering की is very very vast because हर किसी तरीके की चीज मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग के अंदर आ सकती है. अब मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग को कोई डिफेंड नहीं कर रहा है, बट मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग को चेक करने वाली जो अथॉरिटी है उनके पास बहुत ज़्यादा पावर आ जाती है, क्योंकि हर छोटी से छोटी चीज़ को भी मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग में रखा जा सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपने अपने ब्रदर से एक प्रॉपर्टी ली, आपने सोचा उसने गिफ्ट करी है, उसने कहा नहीं, आपने उससे चीटिंग करके वो प्रॉपर्टी ली है, उन्होंने कंप्लेंट फाइल कर दी. नाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट यू विल नॉट इवन बी इन्फॉर्म्ड ऑफ दैट कंप्लेंट एंड एवरीथिंग दैट यू आर saying to the officer can be evidence in court. And then third, even if you are assisting somebody in investigation, you can be kept in jail through and through. So which is on its own a very wrong thing. So for example, economic offenses में bail becomes a norm. Normally bail मिलती है क्योंकि अगर आप investigation में assist कर रहे हो. जेल में रखना is a violation of Article 21, but the Supreme Court has continuously stated now through this judgment कि ये जो offense है money laundering के अंदर use किया गया, and now because any and everything can come under money laundering, bail can actually be denied through and through. इसको the author is criticizing on the test of proportionality. The test of proportionality was brought in the case of केएस पुट्टुस्वामी वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया. इस केस के अंदर राइट टू प्रिवेसी को अपहोल्ड किया गया था. सो कोर्ट ने ये कहा कि Fundamental rights do not operate in silos, but by giving and taking meaning from each other, and any invasion on constitutionally guaranteed freedoms must satisfy a test of proportionality. क्या मतलब है इसका कि there should not only a rational nexus between the law made by it and the objective, but also that it should be achieved through the least restrictive means. जितना कम किसी इंडिविजुअल की राइट पे असर पड़े उस तरीके से आपको किसी की राइट को लेना है. So the state has to do it in the least restrictive means, whereas in this case the state is using the most restrictive means. That आप जेल में जाइए, बिना हम आपको ये भी नहीं बताएंगे कि आपको किस ऑफेंस में रखा गया है, हम आपको ये भी नहीं बताएंगे कि आप अक्यूज्ड हैं या आप एक विटनेस के तौर पे हमारे पास आए हैं, हम आपको ये भी नहीं बताएंगे कि आपका काम के आपके कब तक ज़रूरत है और ऑफेंस को पनिशमेंट होने तक में कितना टाइम लगेगा, उस टाइम तक भी आपको बेल डिनाई करी जा सकती है. So that is the test that we are facing here under the PMLA verdict, all right, which the author is criticizing. Yes, yes, zoom करिए थोड़ा. अच्छा, the better will be कि आप लोग इसको ऐसे नोट कर लें. I'll tell you. ये डेफिनेशन आपने लिख ली है मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग की. अब टेस्ट ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी. All right, moving on now to the next one. Representation all the way up. President Murmu's journey from Rairangpur to Raisena Hill was possible due to constitutional reforms. So the author is saying that the first part, that our president who started her journey as a tribal was only able to reach the top because of the constitutional reforms of 1991. In 1991, we brought in two amendments, that is 73rd and 74th Amendment Act. This Amendment Act brought in village panchayats to the fore. This provided or created a larger political space for people from grassroots level. उसी के बाद only these people have been able to work, and only when you are able to work you can highlight that you can do something for the society. There is recognition, and that brings it. So what was 73rd and 74th Amendment Act? It provided constitutional guarantee to panchayats and municipalities, which was a long-held demand of Mahatma Gandhi ji and his dream that the village in India is the center of governance, and it is from village to the top that the government should rise, not from the government to the village. And therefore the panchayats and municipalities which were brought in part 9 and 9A of the constitution play a huge role in this. Okay, so this is what, and the author is comparing that now we should also allow more and more representation. So for example, seats for other backward castes should be reserved in panchayat and municipality elections for better representation of that community without the restriction of any empirical research. That just the demand that there is a need of it and that it will make Indian democracy more representative on its own is what should be kept into consideration. All right. Then on the right hand side we have bringing Eurasia together. This is about the international north-south transport corridor. Now north-south transport corridor is a dream of Indian government to bypass Pakistan and then connect us all the way to Central Asia. That from India to Iran, from Iran to Central Asia, all the way to Russia is the international north-south transport corridor. It will begin from Mumbai, goes to Chabahar port in Iran, goes to northern point of Iran, and from there bifurcates into Central Asian republics and Russia. So which is a way to bypass Pakistan, also to restrict the need of the overall this. Now इंस्टेक के ऊपर आप लोगों को CLAT में 2021 में already GK में question आ चुका है. Okay, so there should be no qualms about the relevance of it. अब क्यों ये ज़रूरी है और what is it about? So सबसे पहले what is INSTEC? International North-South Transport Corridor, a 7,200 kilometer thing. Okay, and it is the beginnings of it should be noted down here. India, Iran, Russia signed it at the Euro-Asian Conference on Transport in 2000, the year 2000. Okay, now it has now received assent from Kazakhstan, Belarus, Oman, Tajikistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan and Syria. These countries have also extended and accepted it. Okay, in Iran, where will it happen? It will happen from Iran's Chabahar port, which we are building, to the construction of Chabahar to Zahedan railway line, which also India will build. Okay, this is what you have to note down. Now, why is this important for India? It is important for India to move towards its now stated goal of multi-alignment. Ki now India should not just be aligned to or not aligned to any country, we should be aligned to all the countries. So what started out as a foreign policy of non-alignment should now transform itself into multi-alignment. Okay, and the INSTEC is a way to do that. All right, even though it doesn't receive as much attention as it should. Then we move on to the Pope's apology for mass Canada grave. So Canada is also was a colony of Britain, and white people from Europe went to Canada. What that led to was the Aborigines who were living in Canada. The Catholic Church tried to convert those Aborigines to Catholic Christianity. That led to mass killing of the Aborigines and their children. So right now Pope Francis went to Canada. He apologized for the actions of the Catholic Church when this conversion practice was going on. It is also to own up to the mistakes that had happened in the name of religion. Then we come to the more important one here, okay, which is a need for distinction between blasphemy and hate speech. Now blasphemy is beadbi, that is doing something against the religion, trying to bring disrepute to the religion, whereas hate speech is doing something to incite violence. Now, can blasphemy be differentiated from hate speech? India के अंदर we don't have blasphemy, we also don't have hate speech. So हमारे यहाँ क्या होता है? In India we always file all the cases under 295A of the IPC. So here the discussion is कि can this distinction be actually brought in? और अगर लाया जाए तो कैसे लाया जाए? Because we have protected speech, we also have right to criticize religion, and in that regard where do you draw the line? कि कहाँ पे religious sentiments hurt हो रहे हैं, कहाँ पे आप किसी को violence के लिए incite कर रहे हैं और कहाँ पे आप actual notify कर रहे हैं कि there is a act of hate speech happening. So it's a very thin paper line which the author is saying needs to be clarified by the people now. Okay. But इसके अंदर, see, this is a policy one, to be very honest, right? कि how it happens, so such a thing may not actually be there for all of you in your exam. Then we come to technology powering hybrid electrical vehicles. So a lot of companies are now coming up with hybrid electricity, hybrid vehicles. So this is borrowed from Formula 1 motor racing, which has been using hybrid engines for racing cars, and now that same technology is also being applied by Indian manufacturers. So how is that happening? What it does is explained here. EVs, basically hybrid electronic vehicles, use your motor energy. जैसे ट्रेन के अंदर चलते हुए how the carriages generate electricity, EVs also generate this in its battery pack. That is used initially, and when we go up to a higher level, then the EV switches to internal combustion engine to generate heat. That is how the car is run, which is the technology being explained here. Now, these EVs are also high, mild and low category EVs or hybrid electrical vehicles. They are a little costly right now in comparison to internal combustion cars, but they are less expensive than purely electric vehicles because they require, or they run on, those electric vehicles basically run on battery pack, but these ones use your motion energy to recharge and run. Okay, they have a component known as a MGUH, which is basically the place where the battery is conserved and then transferred. All right. Then we move on to build India of freedom fighters' dream. This is about the Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat. Now, he spoke about one program yesterday, which is, so first of all, he called about that this is our Kartavya Kal, that we should have a sense of duty towards the nation, and that duty is towards realizing the dream of independent India and how it was realized, which our first Prime Minister had called in his first speech the tryst of destiny, that we have realized a dream, if not completely, but substantially. So at that moment also he had pointed out that we had not realized that dream and we had to work towards it. So in the first speech of tryst of destiny also, that we are now waking up to a realization we have to do it, and we still have to move towards that. Now, in that point, the Prime Minister yesterday pointed out one important program, which is Azadi ki Rail Gadi or railway station. इसके अंदर 75 trains will be flagged from 75 stations of India, which are named or are relevant to the freedom struggle. Okay. So he pointed out one example of the Vanchi junction in Tuticorin district, which is named after the freedom fighter, that is Vanchinath, and his struggle against the British. So this policy, आज़ादी की रेलगाड़ी और रेलवे स्टेशन, आप आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव के अंडर लिखेंगे, ठीक है. Then we move on to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to supply 12 light utility helicopters to armed forces, acquire 11 more Apaches. This is modernization that is happening in the armed forces. Then PMLA verdict, a hurdle to under trials. This will make it more difficult for people to get bails now, which was flagged by. Then we move on to other news of note. is Coven to grid universal immunization. Now Coven platform आप सबने यूज किया होगा for your general COVID-19 vaccines. अब सरकार का कहना है कि they'll continue to use the platform for more universal immunization. जैसे कि बेबी बॉर्न हुआ है उसका डेटा रहेगा कोविन प्लेटफॉर्म पे, उनको अपडेट आती रहेगी कि for example how your particular vaccine of your child is pending, particular vaccine of the mother is pending, when do they need that or when do they need this. Okay, so the Coven platform which will be made a universal immunization program, UIP से integrate किया जाएगा Coven platform को. Okay, then we move on to Nancy Pelosi, who is the Speaker of USA House of Representatives, will be traveling to Asia. She has not confirmed whether she will go to Taiwan or not. China has warned USA that do not play with fire, that do not go to Taiwan, because then it will also be a basically encouragement of their pro-independence camp that yeah, you are independent, which will basically be saying, for example, recently a US member of parliament had gone to Pakistan occupied Kashmir and praised about the illegal occupation. So we had also pointed out that, see, this is a territory of ours which is under occupation by another country, rather than, so such areas should neither be meddled into. It's our internal dispute. You should not meddle into or take a stand, and especially US being an ally of India shouldn't ever do that. Okay, so this is China similarly warning the USA that don't do it, we'll wait what happens. Okay, drone explosion hits Russia's Black Sea Fleet headquarters. This is attack on Russian embassy that happened. The Black Sea Fleet headquartered is at Sevastopol in Crimea, and Ukraine has been using the Bayraktar drones of Turkey to attack the Russian forces. Okay, then we come, Germany debates nuclear shutdown amid gas supplies. Last year 2021 के AILET के पेपर के अंदर आया था, which country has now decided to cancel nuclear energy completely. That answer was Germany, but Germany now is debating whether it should not shut down completely. उनका प्लान था कि 2022 के एंड में they will end nuclear energy, but now they believe that because Russian gas जिसके ऊपर Germany heavily reliant था is not stable anymore, so therefore they should continue to use nuclear energy. Nuclear energy actually causes the least number of killings in comparison to all the other sources of electricity. Okay, it is as safe as solar or wind energy. That is what the belief is. Then debris from Chinese rocket falls on Earth. China is infamous for not actually launching safe rockets. वो क्या करते हैं, आधे रास्ते अपना रॉकेट छोड़ के और धरती पे बिना प्रॉपर उसके डिस्ट्रक्शन के दे drop it, which leads to damage. Obviously something falling from sky can kill you, and that is something that China has been continuously doing. Okay, which is that their Long March 5B rocket had fell, and the Chinese didn't even inform that this was happening. It was through social media that Malaysian people were able to see कि all right, something is falling from the sky on us and we should take a note of it, or we should run away. Last year also something similar had happened, which was this had happened last year in and around the area in Pacific Ocean. Okay, and this time it is happening around the Southeast Asian region. So China doesn't actually take its aircraft or rockets in a safe trajectory. Now what is that technology or what is that rule? Is all spacefaring nations should follow the established best practice and do their share this type of information in advance. Okay, then we move on. One killed as Iran guards clash with the Afghan Taliban. Prince Charles, nothing of note for us here. Then we come health sector, nothing of note. Then on Commonwealth Games, dominant as well youngster. He annihilates his field in 67 kilogram weightlifting category, and we have won now 3 gold medals at the Commonwealth Games. So this is India's weightlifting sensation, who weightlifting as a sport has grown in Northeast leaps and bounds, which is amazing for India in general. Then we move on, other updates from there. Our team, women's team, won against Pakistan comprehensively. Indian team in the chess Olympiad has also won. Okay, that's all. And other updates, nothing of note for us here. So on that note, we will conclude the newspaper analysis for the day. So what you have to note down first: PMLA judgment, then all right. So these are the things that you have to note down. Will we have quiz? Yes, obviously we will have quiz 11:15 पे, अभी से 5 मिनट में, ठीक है? So on that note, let's conclude. Just a healthy reminder once again that in case you want to study from me, then you can enroll in Success Law Batch. इसकी GK की क्लास आज 3:30 PM पर है, and you can subscribe to it using the code KUSHGK and avail a 10% discount on overall subscriptions. So take it at the earliest, and remember to use the code KUSHGK to avail and subscribe to classes. On that note, मेरी classes के updates के लिए do connect with me on my Telegram channel, which is Kushagra Goyal _Unacademy. On that note, अगर आपको आज का analysis अच्छा लगा है तो please give it a thumbs up, and do remember, अगर आप channel पे नए हैं तो do subscribe for other updates. तब तक के लिए कल मुलाकात होगी, अपना ध्यान रखिए, बाय बाय.